What's up, everyone? It's Taylor here. This is our Bros on the Phone podcast. I'm here with Livingston Odin.
Hey, guys.
It's March 21st. We're going to talk about a couple of movies, TV shows, and just overall news and give our thoughts on everything that's happening right now, I suppose. And we do have some more interviews coming up in the near future, so be sure to follow us here on our podcast. You'll be able to hear about those as well. Some good stuff. So, yeah, I guess we'll just jump right into it.
Yep. Jessica Jones. Did you watch it?
Jessica Jones, yeah. So I think we mentioned Jessica Jones. It came out a couple weeks ago. I did finish it a couple of days ago, I think it was now. Yeah, I mean, and you finished it as well, right?
Yeah, I finished it last week sometime. I think I watched a good portion of it, like in 2 days.
Yeah. So, you know, if you haven't seen it yet, this is probably going to be a little bit of a spoiler podcast. So, you know, just go check it out. Just watch the 13 episodes real quick and come right back before we continue. So
real quick, as fast as it can go. I mean,
yeah, right.
Speed through it.
So, what were your overall thoughts on Jessica Jones season 2?
I think I liked this season a lot better than the first season. It was,
okay.
I mean, I liked the first season, but I don't know what it was about this. Maybe it was the mother and daughter dynamic. I thought that was interesting. And plus, it kind of left it open to, you know, where's she going to go? Her future's like wide open after this season. So, I'm very curious what they're going to do for season 3 if they renew it. I hope they do.
I'm sure they will renew it. I mean, I think it was pretty well received. I personally think I liked season 1 better in a way.
Okay.
I don't know, but like
I think that villain's a lot better. I like what was his name, Killian or
Kilgrave.
Killian. That's the bad guy from Running Man.
Oh yeah. I don't know how I got that mixed up.
Yeah, Kilgrave, Killian, kills.
Yeah, same difference. No, but and he did show up in one episode as kind of a thought in her head type of thing, which is pretty funny. It's pretty entertaining. He is very creepy as that character though. I mean, I guess what they did different in the first season is that Kilgrave, already comes off as this ultimate bad guy, type of thing. Like, he is a bad guy, and it's obvious. He has very few redeeming values, I guess, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the second season, it's more like someone is basically, like they're the reason why they're bad is because of someone else, and they can't help themselves almost. Like, they just have this terrible
mental disorder
or something.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, it's like someone who wants to be good. It's not like they, want to take over the world and, kill all these guys or something. They want to be good, but they're unable to control their abilities, kind of. And I think that was something that was really interesting. And something we really haven't seen before in any kind of Marvel show. So that's why I thought it's really a tragedy, the way it's kind of portrayed.
Yeah, I mean, even the Jessica Jones character. I mean, you're rooting for her to be like this good person. She is a good person, but it's like the world keeps shitting on her basically, and it's like, you want her to catch a break at some point, but and I know they're not going to do that because that's what makes it all interesting is her, her faults and the path she's taking. But
well, it feels like with what Marvel's doing on Netflix over what they're doing, in their movies or anything like that, is like the characters just feel like more real human beings, than anything else. Like, they have these faults. Jessica Jones clearly an alcoholic, and it's something she's probably going to have to face, eventually. Mm-hmm. And then you have like the Punisher, who's got some pretty extreme issues, probably the most out of any of the Netflix characters. With PTSD and the extreme ends of that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, who's your favorite Netflix Marvel character if you had to pick one?
Character or show or what?
I mean, I guess you can go either way. I mean, because my favorite show is probably my favorite character.
Is it the Punisher?
Yeah, the Punisher. I don't know. I like his dynamic.
I do like the Punisher. Then I would probably have to say, I don't know. I like all of them. I mean, I think Daredevil's pretty great as well.
Yeah, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, I think they're kind of neck and neck for me. Then I would say it's probably Luke Cage, and then the very last one is, what's his name?
And then a few steps down, probably Iron Fist. Yeah. I was super impressed with Iron Fist for...
He was kind of whiny for a character.
You have, like your main characters is like, okay, so you have Luke Cage, obviously, he just like got out of prison or whatever, so he has some issues. Daredevil's blind. Jessica Jones, alcoholic. Punisher is
PTSD.
PTSD, and he's so. His family got killed. Iron Fist is rich.
Jessica Jones is kind of poor. I mean, I guess,
but it's like Iron Fist is rich, so it's like, how is he? You don't really feel for him as much.
Not really.
There's not anything that's like.
I mean, he lost his parents, but he
it's kind of like.
It seems like he got over it pretty quick, and it seems like that's the most heroes' MO is. I lost my parents, I became a superhero.
Yeah, and I know that I think Iron Fist is showing up in Luke Cage season 2, which is coming out in like June or something, or May.
Yeah, sometime this year. I'm very curious.
I think that was actually one of the stronger parts of the Defenders was their kind of dynamic.
Yeah,
I think that got really well. The Defenders wasn't great overall, but kind of some of their interactions was pretty funny because Luke Cage kind of calls him out on it, like, you're a rich white guy. Like, what are you mad about? Like, and that's kind of basically how I think a lot of people felt about the show Iron Fist. So I think that'll be a funny kind of dynamic.
I'm kind of curious about that. Rosario Dawson's character. I forget her name in the universe, but she hasn't been in the last 2 shows. She hasn't been in The Punisher, and she hasn't been in this Jessica Jones either. So
I'm sure she'll show up in
probably Luke Cage. I think there's still an item, if I remember correctly. But she was in every one of them until she was like the Nick Fury of the. I guess it's gotten big to the point where they don't need her to kind of intertwine everybody, but
right. I mean, they have other characters like they always have Turk, that little criminal that always shows up in an episode, getting caught or something.
Oh, they had
he was in Punisher and he was in Jessica Jones.
They had Trinity in this one, the lawyer. I forget her name.
Carrie-Anne Moss.
Carrie-Anne Moss. She was in this, and then I think Punisher. It was the female lead from Daredevil. I really did.
It was, I forget her name as well.
They always seem to intertwine other shows with other shows, and I like how they do that. But, I mean, overall, I like Jessica Jones. I thought it was a pretty good season for this one.
So, yeah, I did like Jessica Jones season 2 overall. I'm looking forward to Luke Cage season 2, which comes out, I think it was May or June this year. And then I think they got even another one coming out this year. Is that right? I know they're making so many of them. I'm gonna look this up right now.
I don't know if they're making Daredevil. I don't know if that's slated or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I know they got.
Iron Fist has got to be coming up at some point.
Let's look this up. Yeah, well, they said season 3 of Daredevil is sometime in 2018.
Okay.
And then Iron Fist is probably not going to be until next year.
Right.
It'll probably be the first one next year or something like that.
And I'm not really looking for. I mean, I like to see it and continue that story because they kind of ended on a cliffhanger where what happened to that city that he was taught everything. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, it's just not like, wow, I can't wait for Iron Fist.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. But it's got a new showrunner, so maybe it'll be better. I don't know. Yeah. But you can imagine that. They are doing a Punisher season 2, so I think next year will probably be like Iron Fist season 2, then Punisher season 2, and then who knows what they do after that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm sure they will renew Jessica Jones.
Plus, I'm kind of curious what Netflix is going to do after. I mean, Disney's supposed to take over at some point and have their own streaming service. Yeah, but I think they're going to kind of. From what I heard, because Disney now owns part of Hulu, which is they own everything, they're gonna use Hulu for their more like mature content. Yeah.
Eventually, and then make their own streaming service a little more kid friendly or something. That's what I heard.
Okay.
Something like that. I don't know if
I know they just announced that they're doing a movie. I forget what movie it was, but they're like their first movie that they're going to release that's original content was something they announced 3 weeks ago. But it just popped in my head. But they're doing some kind of movie, and I guess they're going to do original content like Netflix does, where they're going to not be in theaters. And this movie was originally going to be in the theater. Oh, it was it just came to me for a second and left my head again. But it's that Anna, that girl from Pitch Perfect 3.
I know.
She's playing like Mrs. Claus or something like that, or Miss Claus, not Mrs. Claus. But she's playing like a Santa Claus character,
Yeah.
And it was supposed to come out like in November, I think, of like this year or next year, but they decided instead of going into theaters, they're going to put it in their streaming service instead.
Interesting. We'll see how that works out, I guess.
Yeah.
And I know they are. I mean, obviously, I mentioned this before. We should talk about Jon Favreau doing a Star Wars show. We mentioned that last week.
Yeah, we did mention that last week.
But that might be. Maybe that'll be something to do on streaming, or maybe that'll be something they do on TV. I have no idea. I guess we'll find out.
Well, Rian Johnson, I guess, just started work on that trilogy that he's been talking about. Yeah. That was news within the last couple of days.
That'll be good.
But since Disney's on a great, they're making a crap load of money, and Black Panther is on its 5th week as number 1.
Right, and it's the first time a movie did that since Avatar, which kind of surprised me in a way.
Almost 10 years ago.
Almost, that long, but it doesn't surprise me that it's Black Panther. The movie has legs, and people liked it, and people keep going to see it. It's kind of almost. Let's see. I think at this point, I got to double check this again. It's going to be one of the top. I think worldwide, it's right behind first 2 Avengers movies for the MCU.
Yeah, it is.
All right, but in terms of the U.S., it might become the biggest out of all of them, or at least number 2.
It's at 607 right now domestically, and I think Marvel, what was it? The Marvel's Avengers, 623. So it might pass Marvel, the Avengers. I keep saying Marvel Avengers because it says Marvel the Avengers on the box office mojo.
I think it might. It already passed Ultron a while ago.
Yeah,
but
worldwide though, I don't know if it's going to pass.
Worldwide, I don't think it will. It'll probably pass Iron Man 3 because it's 24 million away from that.
Yeah.
But the other ones are just a little too far ahead, I think. But I'm curious. I'm really especially curious about what the next Avengers movie is going to do.
I think that's going to kill because it's already breaking. It already broke a record, I guess, this past earliest, biggest ticket sales or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to definitely do over $200 million just because of all the different characters in that one movie. Plus you got Black Panther, is in it now.
They're going to, I'm sure, fairly soon they're going to have a bunch of TV spots with Black Panther since it's doing so well.
Probably. And it's a nice lead-in for the movie.
5 weeks at number 1 is pretty crazy, and I'm not sure. I guess you got to maybe they're going to hope Pacific Rim beats it this weekend.
Oh, it will. There's no way that Pacific Rim won't beat Black Panther this week.
I mean, maybe it's not like it's.
I mean, that movie really has to bomb for Black Panther to beat it. I'm hoping it doesn't bomb because I'd like that movie to do well.
Yeah, I would too because I really love the first movie. It's like in terms of those like giant monster movies or like kaiju movies, whatever you want to call it. I think it's way better than the Godzilla movie. I think it's the best like kaiju movie I've ever seen, to be honest. Maybe that's a weird, over the top statement, but it's not like there's a whole lot to compete with. The classic Godzilla movies, they're entertaining, but like in terms of the actual effects and stuff, I really like Pacific Rim.
Well, I'm hoping the next Godzilla movie will give it a run for its money because I was disappointed in that when they came out with the first one.
I mean, Black Panther did $27 million this weekend. Maybe next weekend it does 20.
Yeah,
I do hope Pacific Rim beats that.
What would the first Pacific Rim do? That I think it did like 40 or something, didn't it?
Yeah, let me double check.
Yeah, Pacific Rim did $37 million on its opening weekend.
Yeah, so it might, it wouldn't. I don't know. I guess it wouldn't surprise me if Black Panther won but it would really depress me.
Yeah,
because that would mean more Pacific.
I think Pacific Rim will be bigger on internationally, of course, because it did $309 million internationally 5 years ago, and I think it's going to top what the first one did, just because China's become this big heavyweight contender when it comes to the box office. But
and it's been 5 years since the first one, so it's a lot can change, and a lot has changed since then.
I don't think they have They had a $190 million budget. I'm kind of curious, what did this one had a $150 million budget, Uprising did.
The second one?
Yeah, so usually it's like they go up with it, but they've actually gone down with the budget, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But
Stephen S. DeKnight is the director. He also did, since we're going full circle, didn't he do Daredevil, or am I thinking of someone else now?
I'm not sure. They don't have it highlighted here on box office, but I don't know. We'll see what.
Nope. He did. He's a showrunner for Daredevil.
Okay, that's Hopefully it's good.
And Pacific Rim Uprising is his first feature film that he did.
I wish my first feature was $150 million budget.
Yeah.
Oh well. But I guess Tomb Raider. We were talking about Black Panther. Tomb Raider only did $23 million this past weekend, but international box office it did over $130 million, I think.
Yeah, just at 130 internationally. It did 105 outside of the U.S. That's good. I need to see it still, and that's terrible.
Yeah, I went and saw it this past Friday. I liked it way better than the Angelina Jolie original. Yeah. It was. We talked about this a little bit last night, discussing the original Tomb Raider, where they had this. It's like back in 2000, they had this weird thing where we're going to make everything techno.
Yeah,
and
we're trying to be like the Matrix with everything we do.
With the slow-mo camera. Plus the effects in that movie do not hold up whatsoever.
No.
Because I watched it maybe 12 hours before I watched this new Tomb Raider with Alicia Vikander, and I was just like, oh, that looks so bad. It was. But, this one, it's more grounded in reality. It's not all about mystical things. They're going after things that are mystical in legend, but in reality, it really isn't. It's just all, folklore and the stories that the locals say. But I liked it. It was an entertaining film. I know that's got 51% on Rotten Tomatoes, but I think that's the highest rating for a video game movie, so applaud that.
Yeah.
But still, it's not fresh, so I don't know. One of these days, maybe Rampage will break the trend, but
I don't think Rampage will.
Probably not. But
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I don't. Still no fresh. We discussed that quite a bit last week. Excuse me. We talked about our
top
favorite
5 video games. Yeah.
And they're all in the teens or the 20% or something like that. Just because that's just what they got. So 51% for a video game movie, pretty good, I guess. So.
And I think they're going to make some sequels to this because it won't do what we would like it to do domestically, but I think it's going to kill overseas for sure. Yeah,
and it's going to be the type of movie where in the sequel they'll get a foreign actor to be the villain or a side character or something like that, so that it'll sell well.
He'll probably be Asian. So
probably
sell
to the someone like that. They set it somewhere in an Asian country, and they could do that because it's kind of one of those adventure style movies, so it'd work. But we mentioned, briefly, you talked about the original Tomb Raider movie being, with all that techno like the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my great transition, the way that I just did that. If you weren't paying attention. So I guess they are doing. Zach Penn has been writing another Matrix movie. And it's not quite a reboot. It's kind of it takes place in the same universe or something. That's what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. At one time people were thinking reboot, and I guess he kind of came on and said, no, it's taking place in the universe that is originally set up by the Wachowskis. And I'm very curious how they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to go prequel or sequel, or if it's going to be sometime in the middle of all what happened in the original trilogy. I'd be very curious to see where that story's going to go.
And I know one thing they mentioned before, I guess it was probably a year ago, is that they were going to do a Morpheus prequel with Michael B. Jordan, mm-hmm. which, he's going to get everything now. So you can survive being a fan. I saw, this is a side note, but I saw a little meme that showed, it said 2 out of 2 Human Torches are redeemed by the MCU.
Yeah.
Have you seen one?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Michael B. Jordan. I thought that's pretty good. But anyways, he'd be good at it. But do we want to see a Morpheus prequel?
I don't want to. It's like Han Solo. I don't really care to see a Han Solo movie, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's just a character you really don't need to talk about. You kind of get what the guy's doing in the first 3 films, and I don't really need to see more about that story. He's a cool character, but what made him so cool is Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, I was talking to someone about Han Solo, and they said we don't need a Han Solo. We already got a Han Solo origin story. It's called Star Wars.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's the origin story you need. You don't need to what are they going to make now? This his childhood or something? I don't know. Now I'm just kind of going on a rant.
Well,
I hope
you were talking about you were talking about memes. You see that one where how they should start Solo?
Yeah, I think so. How did I get here?
Yeah, like they were doing it like one of those '80s movies. Like how did I get here? He gets stabbed.
Yeah,
it's like, well, you want to see how I got to this moment, and they do a flashback to his childhood.
Yeah, the Han Solo movie is really just like his last thoughts as he's standing on that bridge and before he falls into it. Spoiler alert: if you haven't seen The Force Awakens, Han Solo dies.
Yeah, everybody should have watched it by now. But yeah, I mean. As for The Matrix, I don't know what they're going to do, and I'll be curious to see how they're going to tell a story back in that world. I mean, it'd be interesting to see that world because the last two films really didn't do it justice in comparison to the first one.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen Reloaded or Revolutions.
I watched the end of Reloaded the other day just because it was on television, and that 10-minute thing where that guy's discussing what The Matrix is and how it was made, it's like, what? I mean, you just want to say, cut to the action, dude. I don't want to hear about how The Matrix came to be. And they kind of
I think The Matrix Reloaded does have some really great action.
Oh, the action's great, but when they slow down and they talk, it's all about the discussing of that. I don't really care to hear that.
Yeah.
And they kind of tell an origin story of The Matrix and the Animatrix, if you've seen that. How the Matrix came to be, and because we developed the AI and it kind of destroyed us, almost like a Terminator thing. But
yeah,
you saw the Animatrix, didn't you?
I have, but it's been a long time again. I don't really remember it very well. Yeah. I've only seen.
Yeah, it was
it's not a feature, right? It's shorter, right?
No, it's the Animatrix was like 5 short films in one, and one of them tells the story of the kid that was. In the second one, he comes up and he loves Neo, and he's like, "Hey, Neo, I'd like to go on your next mission." I don't know if you remember that character. He's in Reloaded, and I think he was in Revolutions too. He was like the guy running out and reloading those robots that were protecting the city. But they kind of show how Neo kind of took him from the Matrix, almost like how Neo was taken from the Matrix with by Trinity and Morpheus.
Yeah,
he would like talk to him on the phone and kind of tell him like, "You need to go here and that." And I think they did another one about like an athlete and how he kind of broke loose, like he broke both of his legs and stuff like that in the short. And I guess he kind of found out that he can still survive, still like run with broken legs. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, but they also did kind of a flashback of how the Matrix came to be and how computers took over the world. But it's great. If no one has seen the Animatrix, you should definitely check it out.
Definitely recommend it. All right.
But
the Animatrix, yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see what they do with the reboot, I guess, or I don't know what they're going to call it.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
You could call it reboot. Matrix reboot. Just
yeah, right. Just call it reboot. That's the subtitle. Reboot.
Yeah.
That would almost be like they're just kind of jumping the shark on that term. Then they got to start calling it something else. Like, well, what do they have now? Reimagining, or I don't know. They'll think of some other word.
It'll be some kind of computer lingo or something like
that.
It
was remake for a while, now it's reboot, and then it's kind of reimagining.
Yeah. Now,
how many more Spider-Man movies do we need? I guess
it'll be like see. Matrix 4.0, or
Yeah.
But yeah, and I guess that also came out. I think in the last few days that Steven Spielberg is going to be directing Indy 5 next April. They're going to be starting production on that.
And, no Shia LaBeouf in this one.
Thank the gods. Yeah, no Shia.
So, and I guess I think I've read this when The Force Awakens came out. Is the only reason that he did The Force Awakens is that they signed off on doing another Indy movie.
Yeah.
He obviously cares about this character more than Han Solo, since Han Solo's dead.
Well, he's even said that. I think even people asked him questions like Han Solo or Indy. He's like, Indy, which I go that way too. I prefer Indiana Jones over Han Solo, but I'm an Indy fan, so.
But that being said, I think, in The Force Awakens as Han Solo, he did a lot better than the last Indiana Jones movie, if that makes sense. Like, he seemed like he was having more fun with the character.
Yeah.
Well, The Force Awakens over Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I remember when they were talking about the script of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, he says he wasn't too thrilled with the script, or people said that he wasn't too thrilled about the script. He wasn't really discussing it, and I think they were just kind of going along with what George Lucas wanted, which was aliens, basically. And even Spielberg said, like, I go with what George wants, and no matter what it is, he's like, I'm directing the Indiana Jones film, and I mean, but hopefully for this one they have a better MacGuffin.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they had the Ark of the Covenant, and then they had the Shankara stones in the second one, and the third one was the Holy Grail. The fourth one's the skull. You know, and I mean, you're like, the skull, you got two religious artifacts, and one's like another one from a different, and then now you want like an alien skull. It wasn't cool. They should have done like Excalibur or, you know, something along those lines.
I mean, I guess we'll find out in the next one, which is going to take place in, what, like the 60s or 70s or something?
Yeah, which is also kind of odd for Indiana Jones, because when you think Indy, you think Nazis. And,
right.
So and then like in the last one, it was basically the Soviets.
It was when did the
it was like
Crystal
55 or something like that. It took place in the 50s for sure.
And it was in 2008, so 10 years. It's going to take place in the mid 60s.
Yeah,
so, and maybe late 60s by the time it comes out.
So I'd be very curious. And
1957. So
okay.
Let's say it comes out 12 years later. It takes place in 69.
Yeah,
I guess we could do something interesting with that.
With the hippies I'm sure they're going to do this too, where he's old. They did it in the other one where he's going to say like, "Oh, you're an old man. You don't get our." You know, he'll probably run into some hippies at some point.
Yeah, I mean, he's 75 now. In 2 years, when it comes out, he'll be 77.
Yeah,
it's like, how much running around the woods is he going to do exactly?
I don't know. I mean, he did a lot of running around as Han Solo a couple years ago. I mean, he did all right.
That's true. But it's not quite the same. He's still like mostly, you know, piloting and stuff. And I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens.
Right. Plus, he
didn't look awkward as Han Solo when he was that old. So it still works.
He ages well. I mean, it's not like I don't find him he's not like ancient, decrepit looking guy.
Yeah.
He still looks pretty good for his age. So I mean, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I know some people's like, hang it up, man. You know, get somebody else, reboot it with Chris Pratt.
No, that's another one I don't want to see a reboot.
No,
you know, with anyone else.
If they want to do something with it, like maybe have it in the same universe. I mean, it would have been cool if they had like a son that he can kind of, you know, or a son that we actually want to see. Because I really don't care to see Shia LaBeouf as his son in a, you know, Indiana Jones spinoff or anything like that. But if they had like a Chris Pratt or something, I would have watched that.
Right.
But
yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. I'm hopeful. I mean, it's still Spielberg, so. You know, that's always a plus.
Yeah, and then I'm looking forward to his next movie, Ready Player One, coming out next Thursday. I read the book.
That's on my list for our movie picks of the year. So it's my number three pick. So hopefully it does it really well.
It's got great reviews coming out so far. I mean, like it premiered at South by Southwest, and I guess the majority came out going, "Oh, you're going to love this. It's a hell of a ride."
Yeah.
And I made the and I don't read too many novels, but I ended up getting the Ready Player One novel just because everyone told me how great it was, and I'm telling you too, you need to read the book.
Yeah,
it's a great book, and you can tell from the previews it's completely different from what the book is. I mean, I can already see that now, but I'm cool with it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one that I see right away. And the next one we're going to see, just to kind of wrap up our podcast here today, is Pacific Rim Uprising, which comes out I guess technically tomorrow, Thursday, or, you know, this weekend.
Yeah.
We are going to be doing a review of it sometime this weekend. We'll be posting that and, you know, kind of doing probably a spoiler review. We'll talk about everything. I'm probably going to watch the first film again before I go see the second one.
Oh, I'm sure they'll play the hell out of it over the weekend, probably on TV.
Yeah, I think I've got it on Blu-ray, but I'll definitely check that out. So if Pacific Rim Uprising is something you want to hear about, we're going to talk about it all sometime this weekend. So be sure to check back on our podcast for that. It'll be an extra bonus episode that we do.
Yeah.
And I think that's about it for this week. Got a lot of news that we discussed, and we discussed a lot more longer than I thought we would.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's like 6 or 7 different things that we talked about, but
yeah,
a lot of news.
So let us know what you think of everything we discussed today, whether it's Jessica Jones, Black Panther, you know, Matrix, Tomb Raider, all that stuff, Indy 5. We'll be back next week
all right.
with another episode. So we'll see you then.
Adios.